Honorable Madlala.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings to the delegation and fellow members of Parliament. My name is Kwenzo Madlala, a member of the committee deployed by Umkhonto weSizwe Party. I think I've got 20 minutes, Chair. Is it? Thank you. I'll try and keep within, and I like the counsel that you've just given, that the answers must be precise, so that at least we will be moving fast. Well, the first part is my challenge with the performance outlook of the systematic outlook of performance. And it happens more often in the departments. In one other training, one guy made an example of 3 people who are employed to plant trees. 1 to dig, 1 to put a tree, 1 to cover it up. So the one who puts a tree when it's off, the other one digs and the other one covers up. And they say that's their job description. So they've done 100% of their job. Because my job is to dig, I did dig 10, which I'm supposed to do a day. Another one say my job is to put back the sand, and I did put back the sand on 10 in a day. But the one who's supposed to put a tree was not there. So the outcome is not delivered. But everyone did their job, and on a performance scale, they did 100%, or they couldn't even do more than 10 in that day. And then we're supposed to clap hands for them, but the outcome is not there. This is what I want to arrive at. The purpose, despite the segregation of levels of government, the purpose of all these things combined is that there must be water in a tap in a household. So if it does not yield that outcome, the department at its own level or delegations of power can build reservoirs, do whatever it needs to do. But if the municipality and the pipes are not working and there's no water there, it is a problem because the outcome is not delivered. So at a strategic level or at a background level, the department then should have interventions with the municipalities, a coordinated effort to ensure that ultimately, whilst we do our part, but we ensure that the deliverable is achieved. And as a result, from a person, because this process also not just about us engaging with departments, but about the people at home also who are interested in these things. So when the water department is meeting with the committee, one of the questions that I would have, or that the people I think would want to hear, is when do we expect an endless flow of water, an uninterrupted flow of water into the taps? It may not be a responsibility of the department, but the department in its coordinated approach as government, as one government, must be able to provide that response. And that response must be the same that will be provided by local government in a different platform. Because these are all departments under one government. And the responsibilities cannot be, what they call collective responsibility. In some other terms. So that is the first question. Because, I mean, people are not interested in ideas or anything in anyone's head. They just want to see water in the pipes, in their taps. And I'm from KZN, I'm from Port Shepstone and also in Durban. For 4 to 6 years, just yesterday I was at home. There was water in the tap in Umzumbe. But it will come back after 6 months. It was clean. There's no maintenance issues. There are no issues. But they just open it once or twice a year. And when we make follow-ups with the municipality, there's no clarity of what is the reason. Because we must speak about the how are we able to maximize readily existing infrastructure and water capacity. Then we can speak about expansion and the need to, ensure that there's more coverage. But on the existing platforms, we don't seem to be having maximum capacity. So that is the first question without deliberating more of if we have an answer. If we don't have an answer, we can say, no, we don't know. We can't say this is when we envisage that we are going to have uninterrupted water, at least where there's infrastructure already. And there are no maintenance issues. The second issue relates to the water tanker mafias. SIU was here and they said to me when I asked them about this issue, they said they operate on the basis of allegations. There must be allegations presented before they can motivate for a proclamation and so forth. I just want to ask a specific question, then I'll go to the structured questions, Chair. I want to ask a specific question that is it also the view of the department that whilst everyone knows that there is an operation of water tanker mafias, people who close taps so that they can operate their waters, people who vandalize infrastructure so that they can have their water tankers and maximize profits at the expense of the people on the ground. Because the community fears putting formal complaints, because they will know that the information will leak from government and they'll be shot. So there must be never an investigation. So there will never be a commission set to investigate and look deeper into the issues of water tanker mafias, because SIU says there must be a formal complaint. Even if we know the problem exists right in our faces, we're not going to deploy all available avenues of government to deal with it decisively. I want to understand if that is the view of the department on that matter. Maybe let me pause here and take answers, and then I'll proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Madlala. On the water, on the value chain of water, it sounds as if one is shifting responsibility when we say we can play our role up to where this your second person was taking the soil back to dig that hole. That person could not plant the tree because his mandate was not to plant the tree. That is where we are. The Department of Water and Sanitation has a role up to the water treatment plant. From the reservoir to the tap, that's a responsibility of another sphere. And it is enshrined there in the Constitution. You'll remember, Honorable Madlala, I even said in the question session, if there was a need to amend the Constitution, bring water back to Department of Water, we could talk something differently. But now we cannot go to encroach on the mandate of local government, which is supposed to provide water. What you are saying is true, that there is interruptions in terms of water flow. There is a lack of reliability. Hence, in Mzumbe, 2 days ago, you will get water, but without any explanation why there was no water for the past 2 years or so. Why is there no water today when there was water yesterday? That is operational, and it is operational within the municipality. We don't open taps, unfortunately. That's not that is not what we are supposed to do. Water tankers. Yes, we share the same view with the SIU. SIU report and AG report were working together. When it comes to water tankers, one, as the DWS, we don't own any water tanker. We don't have water tankers as a DWS. The only few that we had, I think about 10, were bought during the COVID-19. They are assigned to Amadola so that they can make some interventions when they are doing maintenance. Otherwise, we don't have water tankers. We have advised municipalities to insource the water tankers. Already, eThekwini has started to insource water tankers. There are those reports, but no one wants to be a witness in terms of assisting with full information. They see these things happening where they are, but people live in fear. They don't report such. And if there is no detail in terms of reporting that on such and such a date I saw this car, their registration number, SIU and any other law enforcement agency agency cannot do anything. It's a pity that maybe our witness protection system is not working well to ensure that people can go in camera and give witness in terms of what they've seen. If we could be able to deal with that, otherwise these cases, they are happening at that level of municipalities. It is municipalities that are outsourcing water provision to water tankers. Unfortunately, there is nothing much that we can do. We are as concerned as the citizens of this country. But the president said, working with SAPS, we must ensure that we encourage our people to report such, because we have to clamp down on water tankers. What they are doing is terrible. To understand that they deliberately vandalize the water infrastructure, so that at the time when that water cannot flow to the tap, they must get tenders. It is an unfortunate situation, but if municipalities can be in the position to insource those water tankers, then we might resolve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you to the Minister. I think the answer could have also been more concise. The first part is that the department cannot put a date of when we'll have uninterrupted water services. And then the explanation that follows, we hear it. And the second part, the department is as vulnerable as the citizens in terms of handling the issue of water tankers. It has no solution to it because there are no reports, and there are not going to be any reports. So it means that we must, maybe the committee, put it to the president or to put it to somebody else, because there's not going to be any reported incident, because our people are shot every day when they try to speak about the issue, and government is saying we can't do anything as well. You see, that's something we need to take forward, maybe in another comment. But let me go to these other questions. Despite the departments transferring 3.61 billion to municipalities through Schedule 5B component of the Water Service Infrastructure Grant, only 54 out of 101 planned small water and sanitation projects were completed in the last financial year. This underperformance is largely due to delays in the appointment of contractors by the municipalities and inefficiencies in their supply chain management processes. The question is, what support mechanisms or oversight measures has the department implemented to ensure that municipalities improve procurement processes and deliver on the projects in time and within budget? So maybe just in a one line or two, this is what we do. We've got monthly meetings or whatever, and this is, we get reports and so forth. Just a short answer, or we just put the grant and we don't follow up. We leave it to the municipalities. The second question is, of the completed projects, how many involved VIP sanitation and water tank installations? Additionally, does the department consider these interim solutions to be beneficial or sustainable to the affected communities? I think you did speak about where these interventions were deployed. Are they considered to be sustainable and beneficial to the communities? Let me stop there. Thank you.
Chairperson, I want to respond to Honorable Madlala, but to put a point of before. It will be incorrect that a member of parliament is allowed to give context. And then when it's our time, we're not supposed to respond in context. That will be unfair. Number two, the statement he made around water tankering is incorrect. Minister were on record, and I want it to be recorded. Water tankering must be used as a temporary measure, not as a permanent measure that is there. In as much as it is in a municipal domain, the answer is that municipalities have been directed just to deal with the question of criminality, do insourcing, just to eliminate whether politicians and officials are involved. That's what we have intervened. Number two, the water tankers, Chair, sometimes they don't take the water to people, and they don't take it on the right times. Minister, we've directed that there must be a management plan, including using tracking system. You track where the tanker is, and water committees, because water committees must be part of what do we call it, ward committees, because it's an important matter. But there should not be any insinuation or recording that we have not responded. On this matter of so many projects, the support we give to municipalities, including intervention, because we intervene, it's limited on the basis of resources. What you give us as Parliament through appropriation, you give us the Regional Park Infrastructure Grant, you give us the Water Services Improvement Grant. There are also other water grants. You have MIC. 50% of the MIC must go to water and sanitation. And then you have the Human Settlement Development Grant, which is 1/3 must go to water and sanitation. For the metros, you have the USDG. That is in the may not spend. 1/3 of that USDG goes to water and sanitation. When Minister said at the beginning, ring fence this budget, we mean all those monies that including the sales. We are reporting structural because we must not be able to say we have not intervened. You can check. You go to Mkanyagut, it's an intervention. You go to Mfuleni, we've intervened. You go to eThekwini, we've intervened. These are the interventions, but on record, they have a limitation. In instances where there is no capacity, our response is simple. Instead of actually giving you a direct grant, we do a direct grant. Those municipalities, over time, the money has been referred back to Treasury. We have made a determination working with National Treasury. Instead of doing direct grants, we do indirect grants. Then we deploy our own entities in terms of implementing agent, whether it's a construction unit, whether it is the water boards. In certain instances, we even use other entities like your district municipalities. You can go to home in Mpumalanga, we use Gersiband, Nkangala, and others. Those that have capacity as a matter to deal with issues of non-performance and underperformance so that citizens are not made worse off around this particular issue. The last point on the numbers that you have referred to, I'll ask the DG to come back to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We don't make RBIG or WISIG allocations to municipalities for them to provide water tankers. Our allocations are for infrastructure projects. So none of our RBIG and WISIG projects are for water tankers. Some of our sanitation projects might be for ventilated improved pit latrines. As I indicated earlier, a ventilated improved pit latrine, if properly designed and built, meets the requirements of the old RDP standards and the current norms and standards for an acceptable form of sanitation. It's particularly appropriate in rural areas where population density is very low, and it would be extremely expensive to provide waterborne sewage systems. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head here now as to how many of our projects have involved installation of VIPs, but we can return to Scopa with that information.
Thank you, Chair. Well, there's still no water in the taps, and the mafia goes uninterrupted. I think sometimes we should just be honest about some of these things. We appreciate the context. It makes sense, I was not trying to prevent context. We are very logical people, so it's important, but you can make it very concise. That was my point, but it's my opinion. It's not a fact. You can argue yours, Deputy Minister. The next question is, since the year 2020-2021, the department has targeted the replacement of 10,798 systems. Yet in the 2023-2024 annual report confirms that zero has been replaced. This is in terms of the eradication of bucket sanitation. Moreover, only 16% of the allocated bucket eradication project budget over the MTEF period has been spent. and no project in the Free State Cape or Northern Cape has been completed. I think I did hear the minister saying that they're only dealing with the outstanding ones in some of those provinces because it's a human settlement matter. But it would appear that none of them also have been completed. What are the root causes behind the persistent failure to deliver on the bucket eradication program, despite the availability of funds? Having heard that it's only 60% of the allocated budget was spent. The second question is, what specific infrastructure constraints are preventing progress, and what timelines have been set for resolving them going forward now? And also, what corrective actions has the department taken to address underperformance, and how is accountability being enforced? Let me just ask the last one so that you can answer all of them at the same time. While the department spent 100% of its 1.1 billion allocated to the Schedule 6B component of WSIG, performance remains poor across the key service delivery indicators. How does the department justify full expenditure against service delivery shortfalls, and what measures are in place to ensure that future spending result in tangible outcomes? Thank you, Chair. That will be the last question. Thank you.
I will start with the last question, Chair. We've responded to this question, Chair. On record, infrastructure projects, some of them, they're multi-year. That's the nature of their work. And our response, when you look at our annual report, look at program number 2 and program number 3. Program 2 and 3 in the main are infrastructure programs, whether it is the national water resource infrastructure, of which there are a number of interventions minister has undertaken to unblock national water resource infrastructure projects. You can look at Glen Williams as an example, look at Zanini Dam, look at Loskop, and a number of them. The other program 3, they are also dealing with issues of water services in, projects. When they are multi-year, it does not necessarily mean there were no constraints. AG was absolutely correct. The constraints in the beginning, Chair, they had to do with issues of planning. Designs, are they there? Approvals, were they in place? Whether WULA, whether EIAs and the other servitudes. Then when you do the implementation, then it will be over time. It's an expenditure that is 100% for that particular issue of the financial year. But the target to deliver the project, it does not mean the project is finished when the money is finished. That's why when I answered the Honorable Neil May around the question of 77%, which is the green that is there, and the 20%, which gives you 97%. That's the answer. But when you look at the bucket eradication, we need to admit, what do we mean? Buckets are going to remain in South Africa. They are here in the Western Cape, they are elsewhere, and that's why we've produced norms and standards. We don't want pit latrines, because pit latrines are inhumane, they impact on the environment and other things that are happening there, but many municipalities are doing. That's why we've introduced 2 systems. SWAT systems and non-SWAT system. There is technologies that you can use. You manage the sludge much better, is more humane. A number of these projects, Minister, she had launched them just around the question of dignity, but also having the environmental aspects. This one is an old as 2014 project called bucket eradication. And in the main, it was a Free State province, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Northwest Province. These projects are in the main about communities where settlements were done, very, very built settlements, but there was no sewer system. There is a toilet there, there is no network, there is no bulk where you are going to treat even the sludge. When our teams had to go in there, even in my own province in Mpumalanga, we just did now Standerton, beautiful houses in Extension 8, sewer going to the streets. And we're to go in just to help a municipality that did poor planning. In this instance, the numbers you see, Eastern Cape, including Northwest, we completed that, is a SWAT system. In other words, there is a toilet in the house, there is no reticulation system that goes to the bulk sewer pipe. Then there is no issue of having the wastewater treatment work, even just to treat it. When we went into Free State, the number doesn't change, but we had to put the bulk system. The bulk system is not there in the Free State. They had to get water to be able to do that. All those work that had to deal with bulk sewer infrastructure, this is what we're actually busy with. But from an auditing point, have you eliminated the buckets? We are actually measured on the output. The output is the number of those households that we will have sorted. That's why you can see the nickel is not moving. But it does not necessarily mean the work has not happened in the ground. The very same thing in the Northern Cape. And we've given them the team by the DG because we've actually sorted out issues that were institutional, where this thing get to be changed, it goes to human settlement, it moves to this, is in the department. There's a team of engineers that are looking at this particular work, and in this financial year, we want to get out on the remaining provinces, which is Free State and the issue of the Northern Cape. But it does not necessarily mean when we complete this task in the annual report and in our performance plan that there will never be buckets in South Africa. There is a bigger discussion talking about sanitation delivery and the other methods and mechanisms that must be looked by municipalities because it's a biggest problem and it's a moving target. Thank you.
I thought you wanted to speak, DG.
Just to add some figures, it's not correct to say that no buckets have been eradicated. In the Eastern Cape, 5,710 have been eradicated through replacement with waterborne sanitation systems. In the Northern Cape, 11,194. In Free State, 22,000, and Northwest, 641. Although currently in 2 provinces, as indicated by the DM, projects are continuing to build the bulk infrastructure required before a switch can be done to waterborne sewage.
Right. Thank you. I think one of the things we'll do, because we have multiple conversations over time about this, because as you said, Deputy Minister, it's a moving target. The number of people that are in community A, especially in urban and peri-urban areas, today might be 15,000. By this time next year, it might be 28,000. And therefore, you keep creating the problem. What I'm hoping we can get to is is an understanding of the picture that is closer to the nature and changes in the problem. Because even when we say the targets have been met, in terms of the difference in people's lives, for many more people, they still haven't, right? So we might be happy and say, okay, we've delivered on those, but the reality is the same community is bigger. It has expanded informally. There is no bulk water services, there is no planning and so on, and it's just a problem we never get to solve. But that's an ongoing conversation we need to have in the context of the availability of resources, the extent to which these entities are able to raise revenue, they're able to get funds from elsewhere, and because ultimately, as Honorable Madlala says all the time, if at the end of the day a person cannot flush a toilet, the government structures for them, as you know, they mean nothing. That's why we all shouted you, Minister, like I did the other day about Mtat. And it's still your problem to solve. I'm sorry. No, thank you very much.